Hello, welcome back to Critical Reactions with your host Brian, and I am once again in YouTube jail. Another video has been blocked, this time Swallow the Sun. So, as per last time, this is kind of the new thing going forward. There is a link in the description if you would like to check out the full video. Otherwise, after this short introduction, we're going to move into the analysis. Also, a real quick aside, direct your attention behind me, we now have a public Discord server. It's been live for about 8 hours as far as public access, and so far the transition from Patreon exclusive to public has been phenomenal. Everybody who's come in has just been amazing, lots of great people that I've gotten to talk to, and they've really integrated into the existing community quite well. In fact, we already somehow started a game of list your favorite bands, one per letter, and wow, that was kind of tough. We were a few of us actually ended up with letters with no bands in them, and I actually had to cheat on a couple. So yeah, it's been real fun already. If you're interested, go ahead and click on the link in the description for the Discord, and yeah, I hope to see you there. It's a pretty cool place, and hopefully it'll be the sort of central hub for critical reactions going forward. I think we've had a pretty good launch, and I hope to see it continue to improve. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the analysis of Swallow the Sun. And like I said, if you'd like to see the full video reaction and all, there is a link in the description for that one. All right, so I think I'm getting a very good idea about what doom metal is, though there are a lot of like offshoots of doom, so I'm not sure what other subgenres kind of explore and how they utilize the core ideas. I think I'm kind of latching on to here, but I really dig um, sort of the idea behind the intentions of the music. We mentioned yesterday with Paul Bearer, and I think it goes on to show here. I'm gonna say that this is probably some of the DNA to doom metal, some of the composition by numbers, if you will, some of the aspects that are really strong within a lot of doom metal, and it is intention and detail of note. We talked yesterday with Paul Bearer that I said that they had some really slow moments, but that the tempo, the slow tempo, was not designed to suggest lethargy. It wasn't designed to make the song sound slow or dragging or anything like that. A lot of the note playing was still on the beat, even sometimes a little ahead of the beat. There was still a lot of forward momentum, but it allowed each beat to exist for, a moment where you can hear the note or the notes or the textures and how it all works together. And each note is specifically intentionally picked for that moment and is allowed to hang in the air for the full weight and impact and emotion to hit the listener. I made the analogy that it's more about seeing the trees rather than the forest, even though it all does still come together into a cohesive idea. The song sounds heavy, and in this case, sad in several sections because of the overall chord progression and the ideas that are being represented throughout the song. But each note is still given time to have a full identity for you to sit in that note, in that sound, for that beat. However, something I did notice in this song that we didn't see too much in Pallbearer was more movement. I mentioned in Pallbearer that we rarely had anything other than or faster than eighth notes. A lot of it was quarters, a lot of it was right on the beat or right off the beat. And in this one, I mentioned at the beginning that there's still a lot of focus on accenting the beats themselves. I don't know if you noticed when I was nodding along, it was like this very strict hitting on each beat. you can really feel the emphasis on those beats. However, there is some nice movement going on between the beats. It's just not emphasized as heavily. There's this really nice uh, 16th note. I think it is 16th notes. In the guitars, there's like dum, digga digga da dum, and you get this little 16th note run between your two accented beats in the guitar in one of the opening riffs. And and they continue to kind of play around with that idea of interjecting these short little runs. They're not necessarily moving around the fretboard too much. It might just be a pedal tone that they're sitting on, but they're not holding it. They emphasize the beat and then sort of introduce some movement within the beat, but then on the beat again, you get really strong pulses to really drive home the weight of the tempo. So I thought that was really cool. Nice little, a different way to view the same idea of creating weight in space while not completely giving up some of these shorter notes that music has to offer. I'm not saying that Pallbearer was wrong in doing it their way, just different tools in the toolbox. Pallbearer was phenomenal at using just some of the longer notes to really drive home, their song. And this song is not better or worse because they use some shorter notes. It's just another tool in the toolbox that was used. And it's just really cool to me to kind of see the same idea being utilized in a slightly different variation. Um, so yeah, that's really cool. Something else I pointed out specifically was the guitar and piano. Uh, I kind of, in my mind, I was kind of likening it to the bridge from Pallbearer, where we had the vocalist and the guitarist and the drummer, a very sparse drummer part. And I said that it was the most open section of the song. The most sparsest, we were down to just two, I'm going to say 2.5 instruments, because the drum really wasn't doing much. But it was still a very full sound. The tone of the guitar was enormous, right? It was still filling a lot of space. These guys, though, they kind of had the same idea, but instead of a vocalist, we had a pianist. And the guitarist was taking lead and still had a fairly big tone, but it wasn't as big as Pallbearer's. It wasn't as overbearing. Um, though it was still a large tone, especially compared to what it was playing with, accompaniment of the piano. The guitar tone was very wide. It had a lot of strength to it. It was playing chords, if I remember right. Um, and and it had this strength to it, but with it occasionally came in this piano bit, and it was one note runs. Uh, well, single note runs. We'd have like 3, 4, 5 notes in a row, but they were not chords or anything. It was all single notes, and just the timidness of the piano, just kind of like quiet in the background, mixed with its acoustic sound, which is going to sound naturally smaller and leaner than a distorted electronic sound coming from the guitar. It was just phenomenal. It has the raw power, the menace that they were going for, with sort of the vulnerability that the piano brought to the table. And I just thought it was a really cool way to musically showcase an idea that I think they were going for, bittersweet. Um, at the same time, or shortly after, the vocalist says something about sitting in this room with these thoughts and memories, or something like that. And the song is called Rooms and Shadows, and there's a lot of allusions to sort of ghosts or shadows of oneself, kind of. And I think that section, assuming the song is about sort of your past and how there's highlights, there's bad parts. Some of the things that you remember negatively, you still have like semi-positive uh, emotions about. Like you had very mixed feelings about that situation. I kind of think that sort of bittersweet idea fits in with what's going on there. It does show that a single memory, or in this case, part of the music, doesn't have to be a single idea. It doesn't have to be powerful, only powerful or only sorrowful or only melancholy or only vulnerable. You can really mix a lot of this together, and you could hear some of the darkness in the guitar tone, I mean, the guitar run, pattern, riff, whatever you want to call it, whereas the piano part was a little bit less haunting and just more, uh, I think melancholy is a good word. Not entirely like sorrowful, where it's just kind of dragging you down. There's a little bit of optimism to it, but it's still not a positive feeling. And just kind of all this mix of emotions. It's just a beautiful section, very well composed, handled with only, three instruments. Just very well done. I love that section. Easily the standout to me. Um, the growls, though, I do want to talk about that. They were used very sparingly. I don't know if it was done narratively, if it was supposed to be, a demon talking or some other entity that's not the narrator or main character, whoever the clean singing is supposed to be, or if maybe it was utilized just as a way to add texture to the vocal track. I'm not sure. I appreciate that it was done sparingly. I think it does a good job of being a contrast to the cleans. The cleans are just really well done. Um, and I think they match. There's some wariness in them, and I probably could have talked about this in the pallbearer one yesterday because thinking about it, it does kind of fit there. Um, yeah, there's wariness in these lyrics. They're not sad. They're not upbeat and perky. They're just kind of tired, right? Whatever they're singing about is just having a drain on the narrator, character of the story, whoever whatever the lyrics, whatever voice they're supposed to be providing. It's sort of like they've told the story a million times and they're just kind of tired of telling it, but someone asked, so you gotta go through the motions again. You gotta tell that story one more time. And I don't know if it fits the doom metal idea so well of just this heavy, dragging weight that you're carrying around. It's got to be exhausting to always carry this around, and then to have a vocalist that is not untalented. There's definitely power to their voice at times. They have a lot of control over their singing, but there's also just this wariness to it. Like, golly, I gotta do this again. All right, let's sing the song. And I love it. It just fits thematically with what's going on in the music. Um, and like I said, I don't know if the growls are just to kind of contrast it and give it more of sort of not necessarily a more powerful vocal style, but maybe one with more authority, more control. Whereas, the weariness is more of a, I guess we have to do this again. The growls come in as like, yes, we are doing this again. This is, what I have to say to listen to it. It draws more attention to itself, especially since it's used so sparingly. So yeah, like I said, I don't really know why the growls are there. I don't know their intention, whether it is just a purely textural decision or if there is meaning within the narrative of the story. But I do appreciate it as a sort of contrast to the cleans that are happening. And yeah, I think that's gonna wrap this one up. Somebody told me in the comments that I should take notes while I'm listening so that I don't forget about things at the end of the video. That's probably not a bad idea because then I get situations like here where I'm like, okay, should I end the video? I think I'm done. It doesn't feel like I'm done. Now I'm just rambling and killing time. I should have taken notes. Bryan, why didn't you take notes? You even suggested you should take notes. And now we're like a minute later and I've added nothing to the video other than maybe a bit of comedy. Ah, man. All right, so yeah, we're gonna wrap this one up. Swallow the Sun, I was phenomenal. It's fantastic and phenomenal at the same time. Doom metal is not necessarily something I'm going to go out of my way to listen to all the time. However, having listened to Swallow the Sun and Pallbearer and kind of getting an idea for it, I do think that it is something that I might indulge with the certain mindset. Um, it's not something, like I said, that I'm just going to go to on a daily basis. I think it has a real chance to impact my emotional state. It's not something I necessarily want to dive into just driving down the road to the store or something like that. But I do think I'm going to keep doom metal in my back pocket for those days when I'm like, I just need something cathartic to kind of empathize or sympathize with, to know that somebody's writing music the way I feel right now. And yeah, that is awesome, especially since I have found out that it's not all. I really came into doom metal thinking we were going to do a lot of growls and stuff like that, and knowing that it's a bit more listenable as far as my tastes and preferences go. Definitely have a different perspective on it, a more positive one, for a genre that seems to be a little less positive. All right, so that wraps this one up. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of Swallow the Sun's Rooms and Shadows. You can also let me know in the comments if there's anything I got right about the context, or the ideas, or if you have any information about the growls. Maybe you know the story of the song, the lyrical story, and there's maybe there's a different character or reason for those growls. Let me know. Definitely, I am interested, because from a musical standpoint, aside from the contrast, which I did appreciate, I couldn't really glean why they were added, especially since they were so sparse. All right, when you're done with the comments, if you'd like, you can check out the description box for links adjacent to the channel, such as my Patreon campaign, links to the request spreadsheet, and the newly open to the public Discord channel. If you'd like to chat with me and other people who enjoy music, all sorts of music, we're a very open-minded community. You can head on over there. Creating an account is easy if you don't have one, and there are plenty of people there ready to talk about all sorts of music. Just a really phenomenal group of people. So, all right. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC. If you could like, subscribe, ring the bell, that would be excellent. If not, that is fine as well. I'm glad you came by and checked out what we checked out. And maybe you got some cool comments. We can chat in the comments section. Until next time, you guys stay awesome, stay safe, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.